the internet has been absolutely set on fire. What started as a highly publicized legal feud between Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively has now snowballed into something far bigger, dragging in names that nobody could have imagined would be involved, or at least hoped they wouldn't be. And sitting right at the center of this unexpected fallout is none other than Ryan Reynolds. Yes, Ryan Reynolds, Hollywood's golden boy, social media king, Wrexham's savior, Aviation Gin's poster boy, the man who could seemingly do no wrong. Until now, for weeks speculation had been mounting as the legal drama between Baldoni and Lively grew more volatile, with court documents leaking, damning texts emerging, and a media frenzy spiraling out of control. Fans and observers started asking a simple but increasingly uncomfortable question. At first, his absence seemed strategic. Maybe he was staying neutral, maybe he was protecting his family, maybe, just maybe, this was none of his business. But as the drama escalated, the silence began to feel deafening and, more importantly, suspicious. Then came the leaks. Suddenly, whispers about Ryan's involvement, or at least his proximity to the chaos, grew louder. Behind-the-scenes communications started surfacing: screenshots, text threads, insider emails. Media outlets began quietly investigating whether Ryan had any knowledge of Blake's alleged smear campaign against Baldoni, or worse, whether he had tried to help cover it up. As the backlash exploded online, Ryan's PR team went into full-blown crisis mode. Quietly, they tried to plant positive stories, they tried to reframe the narrative, they tried desperately to control the bleeding before it became a full-on hemorrhage. But it was too late. The public smelled the cover-up and they weren't having it. Tonight we are diving deep. This isn't just a Hollywood scandal. This is a story about how even the most untouchable celebrities can get caught in the storm. About how PR spin doesn't work when the internet decides it's done with you. And about how Ryan Reynolds, for the first time in his career, may have found himself on the wrong side of the story. Get comfortable. This is going to be a wild ride. To understand how Ryan Reynolds got caught in the crossfire, we have to go back to where this all began, the now infamous lawsuit between Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively. It started quietly, whispers within the industry about a falling out. Justin Baldoni, known for his activism, his directing, and his reputation as one of the more progressive figures in Hollywood, had worked closely with Blake on multiple projects, both on screen and behind the scenes. But behind closed doors, tensions were mounting when Baldoni filed a bombshell lawsuit against Blake Lively, accusing her of orchestrating a targeted smear campaign that damaged his career. The industry gasped. The allegations were explosive: emails, text messages, recorded phone calls. Baldoni claimed he had evidence that Blake had conspired to leak false stories to tabloids, undercut his professional opportunities, and manipulate the media narrative against him. For the first few weeks, the public focused squarely on Blake. Her image as America's sweet, sophisticated A-lister was crumbling before our eyes. Every new court filing brought fresh humiliation, contradictions, embarrassing statements, and even outright lies exposed under oath. But then something shifted. Observers started noticing an elephant in the room. Blake Lively wasn't operating in a vacuum. Where was her husband, Ryan Reynolds, the man who's never more than a tweet away from teasing his wife, poking fun at himself, or promoting one of his many businesses? Why was he suddenly invisible? At first, fans made excuses. Maybe he was respecting her privacy, maybe this was a legal matter and he didn't want to interfere publicly. But then came the first leak. A screenshot, allegedly from an internal group chat between high-profile Hollywood insiders, began circulating on Reddit and X, formerly Twitter. In it, Ryan was seen discussing how the media could be redirected toward more favorable narratives, not directly about the lawsuit but about family stories and career wins. The internet exploded. Was this Ryan trying to shield his wife from public scrutiny, or was it an innocent attempt to protect his family amid a stressful time? Depends on who you ask. But the leaks didn't stop there. Soon anonymous tips started flooding gossip outlets like Des Moines and Crazy Days and Nights. One particularly damning tip read: Reynolds knew everything. He's been working behind the scenes to make sure the story doesn't get bigger than it already is, but the PR playbook isn't working this time. This was the moment Ryan's silence transformed from a neutral stance to what many perceived as complicity. By week 3 of the public meltdown, mainstream media began covering not just the Baldoni versus Lively case, but also Ryan Reynolds' mysterious silence. Headlines like "Where's Ryan's silence from Hollywood's funniest man speaks volumes." Ryan Reynolds facing questions about wife's legal disaster were now popping up across entertainment sites like E! News, People, and TMZ. The public's patience wore thin. Fans flooded Ryan's social media with comments like "You always have something to say until it's uncomfortable. So you're only funny when it's not about accountability if you knew you're part of the problem. At this point, the pressure was unbearable not just for Ryan but for his entire PR machine. His team scrambled, crisis meetings, emergency Zoom calls, damage control consultants brought in. But nothing could stop what was coming next, a full-scale media disaster that Ryan couldn't meme his way out of. When the backlash started to swell, Ryan Reynolds' team knew they had a decision to make, and fast. For years, Ryan had cultivated one of the most polished, relatable, and likable personal brands in Hollywood. His humor, self-deprecation, and entrepreneurial ventures had made him a rare figure in the entertainment industry, universally liked. But this was unfamiliar territory. Ryan's PR strategy had always been simple: stay likable, stay funny, and stay out of serious controversy. But the Baldoni lively scandal wasn't something that could be laughed off with a witty tweet or an Aviation Gin promo. The first step from Ryan's team was subtle, or so they thought. Overnight, media outlets started publishing fluff pieces that seemed suspiciously well-timed. Articles like "Ryan Reynolds says his kids keep him grounded amid busy work schedule." Ryan and Blake spotted enjoying ice cream with their kids' family first inside Ryan's Wrexham triumph. How he balances Hollywood and football. These were classic PR distraction tactics. Humanize the celebrity, remind the public of their lovable persona, and divert attention away from the scandal. But the public wasn't buying it. Social media comments flooded these articles. "Nice try, Ryan. This isn't about ice cream. Oh look, PR damage control in real time. You can post all the family pics you want, but we still want answers." The comments were brutal and relentless. The next move was to frame Ryan as the innocent spouse, caught in an unfortunate mess. Leaks to People magazine, ET Online, and Us Weekly included carefully crafted lines like, "Ryan is focused on his family right now. He's choosing not to get involved in matters that don't directly concern him. This is a legal matter between Blake and Justin, and Ryan supports Blake privately but doesn't wish to comment publicly." But this only added fuel to the fire. TikTokers quickly stitched these headlines, rolling their eyes and calling out the hypocrisy. Viral videos exploded with captions like, "Not directly involved, that's your wife Ryan. Silence is complicity when you benefit from the same system." A new wave of commentary flooded in. Influencers, lawyers, PR experts, and even former Hollywood insiders started explaining how this was a textbook soft cover-up attempt. Instead of directly addressing the controversy, Ryan's team was trying to drown it in positive, unrelated stories, a move that frankly hadn't worked since the early 2010s. Ryan's team then pivoted. He agreed to a set of controlled media appearances, but with strict ground rules, no questions about the lawsuit. A pre-recorded interview aired on a major morning show. Ryan smiled, joked about Wrexham's recent win, teased an upcoming film, and shared a cute story about his kids. The host, visibly uncomfortable, stuck to the script, not daring to mention the elephant in the room. But the internet noticed the omission instantly. Clips from the interview were sliced up and reposted on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube with brutal captions. "Notice how they skipped the lawsuit. Completely softball questions only. This is why mainstream media is losing to independent journalists." Imagine getting paid millions to dodge accountability this hard. The backlash was so severe that even the host began trending, accused of participating in a PR cover-up. A particularly desperate move came when an anonymous source clearly told People magazine Ryan is really struggling. He feels torn between supporting his wife and maintaining his own values. This has been an emotional time for him. The reaction was instant and savage. "Oh, poor millionaire Ryan, must be so hard watching consequences happen. Is this a joke? You were fine posting jokes until this happened." Worse yet, the sympathy angle opened the floodgates for journalists to start digging deeper. Creators across platforms, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and podcasts were having a field day breaking down every PR play. Viral commentary videos emerged with titles like "Ryan Reynolds, the PR disaster no one saw coming," "How Ryan's PR team failed him miserably," "Why you can't meme your way out of scandal." Even mainstream outlets like Variety and The Hollywood Reporter published pieces dissecting how Ryan's classic PR playbook was completely outmatched by internet sleuths who were faster, smarter, and not beholden to any publicists. An unexpected twist came when a PR insider leaked a portion of an internal crisis memo from Ryan's team. It read, "Messaging must emphasize family distance from legal matters and avoid acknowledgement of specific allegations. Media focus should pivot to Wrexham upcoming projects and charitable initiatives." When this leak hit the internet, it was game over for the subtle approach. Screenshots of the memo went viral with millions of views in hours. The trending hashtags were brutal, #Reynolds cover-up, Hashtag Reynolds new hash mimicking nah more suddenly every cute joke Ryan had ever posted about Blake was reframed as weaponized PR. Clips of him calling Blake the love of my life were side by side with screenshots of the crisis memo. The juxtaposition was devastating. Then came the economic consequences. Fans began targeting Ryan's business ventures. Calls to boycott Mint Mobile, Aviation Gin, and even Wrexham-related merch exploded across social media. Petitions started circulating stop supporting Reynolds' own brands until he addresses the Baldoni situation transparently. Even local Wrexham fans, normally fiercely supportive, started posting frustrated messages asking whether their beloved club was now part of a Hollywood PR circus. At this point, there was no salvaging the situation. Every attempt to redirect, distract, or control the narrative had blown up spectacularly. Ryan's PR team was out of moves. The next phase wasn't about control, it was about survival. And Ryan was about to be forced into doing the one thing he had avoided from the start: speaking directly. Because when a final leak, an internal email chain hit the public domain, showing Ryan personally discussing limiting public exposure to the lawsuit fallout, the public's reaction was seismic. The headlines were brutal. Reynolds knew. Ryan Reynolds accused of participating in attempted PR cover-up of Blake Lively scandal. Justin Baldoni backlash hits. Ryan Reynolds' silence no longer an option. If Ryan Reynolds and his PR team thought the backlash was brutal before, they were about to learn what it truly meant when the media, both mainstream and independent, decided to turn against you. The subtle media manipulation was dead. The charm was wearing off. The public no longer cared about cleverly written captions, family-friendly photo ops, or relatable quips. What they wanted was the truth, and the media, sensing blood in the water, was more than happy to give it to them. It starts with one headline: the domino fell when Variety dropped a scathing article titled "The Ryan Reynolds Problem When Silence Becomes Complicity." The piece dissected the PR timeline, walking readers through every deflection attempt, every manipulative press leak, and every fluff piece designed to steer attention away from the lawsuit. It wasn't subtle, it was a direct shot at Ryan. The article ended with a biting line: Reynolds, long celebrated for his candor and transparency in interviews, is discovering that the same public who adored his honesty has no patience for selective silence. Then came the flood. The Hollywood Reporter, Rolling Stone, Page 6, and even the New York Times piled on. Each outlet published deep dives into Ryan's role, not as a defendant in the lawsuit, but as someone complicit in attempting to control the narrative. Major headlines flooded the entertainment world: the Reynolds spin machine is failing, here's why. Rolling Stone sources confirm Ryan was briefed on the Blake Baldoni PR strategy. The Hollywood Reporter, Ryan Reynolds under fire. What did he know and when? Page 6, the framing had shifted completely. This wasn't about whether Ryan was legally liable. It was about whether he was ethically compromised. Internet investigators go into overdrive while mainstream media caught up. Independent creators were already miles ahead. TikTok exploded with side-by-side timelines: one column Ryan's public post, second column what was happening behind the scenes. These videos painted a devastating picture. Ryan posting about his gin while the court was releasing bombshell evidence against Blake. Ryan tweeting jokes about soccer while the media was swirling with allegations about Blake's attempts to smear Baldoni. Commentators weren't pulling punches. Viral videos racked up millions of views with titles like "Ryan Reynolds, the facade is cracking," "Hollywood's nicest guy," or "just another cover-up artist we need to talk about." Ryan Reddit threads under our Pop Culture Act and our Fox Moines dissected every word Ryan had ever said about honesty, transparency, and being a good partner. And suddenly, those words didn't age well. Old interviews resurface, and their damning internet sleuths started pulling clips from past interviews. Ryan, seated next to Blake on multiple occasions, made repeated jokes about how we don't keep secrets from each other. On Jimmy Fallon years earlier, Ryan had said, "There's nothing in my life Blake doesn't know about. She's my partner in everything." The clip was now being reposted with captions like, "So you didn't know about the smear campaign? Guess that honesty didn't apply to this." Then came a more serious quote from a GQ interview: "We believe in handling things privately as a family, but that doesn't mean hiding the truth." Oof, the internet pounced. Comments poured in: "This didn't age well at all. So you pick and choose when the truth matters. The hypocrisy is insane." Hollywood insiders start talking. Suddenly no one wanted to protect Ryan anymore. Insiders who once shielded A-listers began leaking. Multiple entertainment reporters confirmed off-record conversations where Ryan had expressed concerns about the story getting bigger than it needed to be. One bombshell leak from an unnamed studio exec landed on The Hollywood Reporter. Ryan was absolutely part of the conversation. Not directly involved in Blake's choices, but 100% involved in managing the optics once it exploded. Worse, a leaked Zoom screenshot appeared to show a crisis meeting, involving not only Ryan's personal PR team, but also executives from Aviation Gin, Mint Mobile, and Wrexham. In the corner of the screenshot, Ryan himself looking visibly frustrated. Even late night turns on him, the final confirmation that things had gone irreversibly bad. When the late-night comedians, usually among Ryan's biggest allies, turned on him, Stephen Colbert opened his show with, "You know, I always thought Ryan Reynolds could sell me anything. Gin cell phone plans." But turns out not a believable excuse. Jimmy Kimmel joked Ryan Reynolds went from Deadpool to dead silent real fast. Even Saturday Night Live ran a savage sketch titled The Reynolds Apology Generator, where an actor playing Ryan clicked buttons like talk about family, mention Wrexham, and post cute dog pics, each generating a meaningless non-apology. The audience was howling, but the message was clear. The PR charm had worn off. Financial backlash hits hard. Aviation Gin's parent company quietly canceled a joint marketing campaign. Mint Mobile saw a noticeable dip in new subscriptions according to leaked internal data shared by a disgruntled employee on Reddit. Wrexham fans posted furious threads asking whether their football club was now just collateral in a Hollywood scandal. Even longtime fans of Ryan began to unfollow him on social media, expressing disappointment rather than anger, which arguably was even worse for his image. Legal commentators chime in. Is Ryan in trouble? Legal experts began speculating on whether Ryan might be subpoenaed. While he wasn't a named party in the lawsuit between Baldoni and Lively, several legal commentators noted that his proximity both personally and professionally could make him a person of interest. A CNN panel broke it down like this: if it's proven that Ryan participated in or encouraged a PR cover-up while not illegal, it could open him up to defamation suits if any of those planted stories harmed Baldoni's reputation further. One lawyer put it bluntly: this could get really messy if discovery reveals any direct involvement. The public sentiment betrayal, but perhaps the most damaging element wasn't legal, it was emotional. The internet felt betrayed. This wasn't just any celebrity, this was Ryan Reynolds. The guy everyone rooted for, the funny one, the self-aware one, the one who seemed real. And now he looked like just another Hollywood figure willing to cover for his own no matter the cost. Viral tweets summed it up perfectly. Ryan Reynolds was the last one I trusted. That's on me. When even the nice guys are part of it, yeah, Hollywood's cooked. By the end of the week, by the end of this media onslaught, Ryan's team was no longer trying to spin. They were in full-blown panic. Calls were coming in from business partners demanding answers. Wrexham's board reportedly scheduled an emergency meeting. Investors in Aviation Gin were furious. Mint Mobile executives were reportedly exploring exit strategies. And the most brutal headline yet hit the New York Times: Ryan Reynolds, once the face of relatability, now the face of evasion. The damage was done. Ryan could no longer avoid it. His next move had to be public and direct. If Ryan Reynolds thought the public pressure and media fallout had reached its peak, he was about to learn that things could and absolutely would get far, far worse. The simmering outrage was about to reach a full boil. The leak that shattered everything had happened on a random Tuesday morning. A file titled Reynolds PR Correspondence Confidential began circulating on Discord, Reddit, and eventually X, formerly Twitter. The file, allegedly leaked by a former employee of one of Ryan's marketing firms, contained screenshots of internal email threads, Slack messages, and meeting notes that dated back to the early days of the Baldoni versus Lively lawsuit. The contents were devastating. In one email dated just 3 days after the lawsuit became public, Ryan's PR manager wrote, "Priority number 1 is controlling the narrative. Keep focus OFF the lawsuit. Push family content. Push Wrexham wins. Push Mint milestones. Keep Ryan out of direct commentary. Do not acknowledge the allegations." Ryan himself responded to the thread with a simple but telling line: "Yeah, let's not let this become bigger than it needs to be." But it got worse. Another Slack message from Ryan sent in response to a team member asking about public sentiment. Read: "Can we flood the feeds with Wrexham and Gin? Shift the algorithm before it gets ugly. Shift the algorithm before it gets ugly." The internet seized on that phrase like a shark sensing blood in the water. Within hours, #shift the algorithm was trending #1 worldwide. What was initially meant as an internal strategy note had now become the public's rallying cry, an indictment of how celebrities weaponize social media to manipulate public perception. Mainstream media runs wild once the leaks went viral. Major outlets wasted no time publishing CNN breaking leaked messages show Ryan Reynolds discussed media manipulation Amid Baldoni lawsuit fallout, The Guardian shift the algorithm. Ryan Reynolds' leaked communications spark global backlash. BBC Ryan Reynolds accused of media cover-up strategy, fans demand transparency. CNN even ran an on-air graphic titled The Reynolds Cover-Up Timeline of Manipulation, with bullet points that listed every strategic media push, juxtaposed against major court revelations. From the Baldoni Lively case, financial fallout turns into an avalanche. The response from Ryan's business partners was swift and brutal. Aviation Gin parent company Diageo released a terse statement distancing themselves. Aviation Gin does not comment on personal matters of shareholders. We are reviewing the situation internally. Mint Mobile T-Mobile, which had acquired Mint, paused all Mint-related marketing campaigns featuring Ryan. Their stock took a noticeable dip within 48 hours of the leak. Wrexham AFC fans were furious. Local papers in Wales ran editorials asking whether the club had become a PR pawn in a Hollywood scandal. Fan groups publicly demanded a response from both Ryan and his co-owner Rob McElhenney. Paparazzi swarm and Ryan cracks. By midweek, paparazzi descended on every location Ryan was known to frequent outside his New York apartment, at the Wrexham training grounds, even random restaurants in Los Angeles. One particularly brutal moment was caught on camera. As Ryan attempted to exit a hotel lobby, a reporter shouted, "Ryan, do you regret trying to manipulate the media? Do you regret lying to the fans?" Ryan didn't respond, but the look on his face, strained, exhausted, furious, was enough. The clip racked up 20 million views in 12 hours. Comment sections were merciless. "That's the face of a man who knows the internet has receipts. Suddenly not so funny, Ryan." Fans begin dismantling the brand. Entire TikTok accounts sprang up overnight, dedicated to dismantling every part of Ryan's public persona. Wrexham fans began defacing murals of Ryan at the stadium. Former customers posted themselves canceling Mint Mobile subscriptions. Influencers dumped bottles of Aviation Gin on live streams with captions like, "I used to love this, not anymore." Even Ryan's Deadpool co-star Morena Baccarin was asked during a podcast if she had noticed anything fake about Ryan behind the scenes. She declined to answer, but her silence spoke volumes. A leaked phone call the final nail. Then came the leak that broke the internet. A short audio recording surfaced, allegedly a private phone call between Ryan Reynolds and a major Hollywood PR consultant. In the clip, Ryan could be heard saying, "I don't think anyone cares. In a week, people move on. We flood the feeds. It always works. It always has." The consultant responded, "Ryan, this isn't 2017. The internet's different now. You can't meme your way out of this." The clip went nuclear. Memes exploded, ironically using Ryan's own failed PR strategy as material. Side-by-side clips of Ryan promoting Mint Mobile with captions like, "Not even unlimited data can save you from this one." Photos of Wrexham Stadium with text, "Welcome to the algorithm shift arena." The hashtags hit critical mass. By the end of the week, the internet was running wild with trending hashtags: hashtag Reynolds new, hashtag shift the algorithm, hashtag Ryan address it, hashtag prefail of the year. Even mainstream celebrities began liking and subtly engaging with the criticism. Selena Gomez liked a post criticizing the manipulation. Zendaya commented, "Yikes," under a TikTok breakdown. Emergency meeting, and Ryan breaks his silence with businesses collapsing, brand deals suspended, Wrexham supporters protesting, and even Hollywood allies turning cold. Ryan finally caved. An anonymous insider leaked that Ryan held an emergency Zoom with his entire PR team, business managers, and legal counsel, the tone desperate. Reportedly, Ryan was heard saying, "There's no salvaging this unless I get in front of it now. No more spin. It has to be me." The decision was made. Ryan Reynolds, Hollywood's most charming, most media-savvy actor, would be forced into a direct, public, no-filter response, not a scripted PR statement, not a meme, not a joke. The internet braced when the pressure became absolutely unbearable. With his businesses, his reputation, and even his friendships hanging by a thread, Ryan Reynolds finally did what the internet had been demanding for weeks. He spoke, but it didn't go how anyone expected. The statement drops on a Friday evening, a classic PR move meant to bury bad news over the weekend. Ryan Reynolds posted a long text-only statement to Instagram, X, and Facebook, a simple black background with white text, no photos, no jokes, no videos. The caption reads simply, "I owe everyone an explanation." The statement itself was a masterclass in tone, or at least it was supposed to be. Ryan opened with, "The past few weeks have been some of the most difficult in my life. I've watched as someone I care about deeply. My wife has faced public scrutiny. Out of love for my family and out of respect for the ongoing legal process, I chose not to speak publicly. Maybe that was the wrong choice." It continued, "I was not involved in the legal matters between Blake and Justin. However, I acknowledge that in an effort to protect my family's privacy, my team and I made choices that contributed to confusion. I never intended to mislead anyone. Then came the key line that set the internet ablaze. We tried to shift the focus onto more positive stories, our businesses, our family, our work in Wrexham. Because that's what we've always done, but I now understand that sometimes silence and misdirection can cause more harm. It ended with I'm listening, I'm learning. And I hope that in time I can rebuild the trust that's been lost. I stand by my family. But I also respect the importance of accountability. Immediate reaction. Fury. It took less than 5 minutes for the backlash to explode. Comment sections were absolutely flooded. This isn't accountability. This is deflection. You still didn't answer the question. What did you know? Oh cool, I'm learning. That's the best you've got. This is just PR dressed up as sincerity. We see it, Ryan. TikTok went nuclear. Influencers began live streaming their reactions in real time, breaking down every single line of the statement with surgical precision. Listen to this part out of respect for the legal process. Translation: I don't want to incriminate myself. I was not involved in the legal matters. No one said you were. We said you were part of the cover-up. The comment sections weren't just angry, they were betrayed. Media headlines are brutal. The next morning, the headlines were even worse. Then Ryan's team feared. Variety: Ryan Reynolds' non-apology sparks even more outrage. The Guardian: Ryan says he's learning. The internet says not good enough. Rolling Stone: Reynolds breaks silence and makes it worse. Vulture: PR masterclass in how to ruin your brand in real time. Even major business outlets like Forbes and Business Insider chimed in. Aviation Gin, Mint Mobile and Wrexham now face brand risk over Reynolds' mishandling of public outcry. The tone-deaf tour meme begins. The internet, ever creative, began mocking the statement. With a flood of memes, TikTok showed Ryan's statement set to clown music. Instagram slideshows highlighted every evasive sentence with bold red text that read dodge or deflect. A viral tweet summed it up perfectly. Ryan really said, "I'm sorry if you were confused." Classic. Celebrities react, and not how Ryan hoped. Hollywood's response was icy. A-listers who typically filled his comments with fire emojis and heart reacts were silent, except for a few, and not in Ryan's favor. Lily Reinhart liked to post criticizing the statement as manipulative. Keke Palmer posted on her Instagram story, "When folks show you who they are." John Boyega commented under a TikTok breakdown, "Silence was better than this." Legal experts: even worse news. Then came the legal commentary. On CNN, a legal analyst broke it down. This statement was a mistake by admitting to actively shifting the narrative. Ryan unintentionally places himself adjacent to the alleged defamation. If the plaintiffs, namely Baldoni, can argue that Ryan's media manipulation contributed to reputational harm, it's not impossible that he could be dragged into discovery or deposition. A top entertainment lawyer on MSNBC went further. This opens the door. Any communications between Ryan Blake and their teams about the media strategy are now potentially discoverable. This could get very ugly. The fan revolt hits critical mass by Sunday. The fan revolt was at DEFCON 1. #Ryan address. It trended for the 4th day straight. Fans organized mass cancellations of Mint Mobile. Wrexham supporter groups held a public demonstration holding signs reading, "We are not your distraction and this club deserves better." A Change.org petition demanding that Ryan step back from Wrexham ownership crossed 500,000 signatures. Even local Welsh news outlets covered the story, running headlines like "From Hero to Headache Wrexham. 1,000 fans turn on Ryan Reynolds. A PR nightmare." And it keeps getting worse. As the dust settled from the statement, it became clear Ryan's attempt to calm the storm had only made it worse. His businesses were now under threat. His Hollywood reputation, once bulletproof, was shattered. Even his fan base, one of the most loyal and forgiving in the industry, seemed to be abandoning him in real time. And the worst part, the legal drama wasn't over, not by a long shot. Rumors began swirling that Justin Baldoni's legal team was quietly considering whether to subpoena Ryan for deposition, not because he was directly involved in the initial defamation, but because his role in the cover-up may now be relevant to the case. This was no longer just a PR crisis. This was about to become a legal one. And for Ryan Reynolds, the breaking point was just the beginning. The dust from Ryan Reynolds' disastrous statement hadn't even begun to settle before the fallout accelerated beyond anything his team could have imagined. What started as a PR crisis now fully mutated into a multi-pronged disaster, one that touched every part of his career, his business empire, and even his personal life. PR experts go public, and they're brutal across every major media outlet. PR experts were practically lining up to roast Ryan's handling of the scandal. CNN, MSNBC, BBC, and even Good Morning America ran segments titled things like a masterclass in what not to do. The Reynolds crisis. When apologies fail, why the internet isn't buying Ryan's statement. From meme king to damage control, Reynolds brand in freefall. Crisis PR consultant Emily Sanders told The Guardian, "This wasn't an apology, this was a cleverly worded attempt to pacify the masses while avoiding any direct responsibility. The internet doesn't fall for that anymore." Social media strategist Marcus Lee added on CNN his mistake was thinking he could do what worked in 2017, a cute caption, a bit of self-deprecation. But the landscape has shifted. Audiences are savvier now. They demand transparency, not spin. The boycotts escalate. By this point, the fan-led boycotts of Ryan's businesses reached critical mass. Aviation Gin sales plummeted by 34% in a single week, according to leaked distributor reports posted on Reddit. Mint Mobile was hit even harder, a reported 21,000 canceled lines in 48 hours. T-Mobile, Mint's parent company, issued an emergency internal memo acknowledging the backlash and pausing all Reynolds-related promotions indefinitely. Wrexham AFC faced protests during a home game. Fans held massive banners reading "We're not your PR shield" and "accountability greater than algorithms." The protest footage went viral worldwide. Local newspapers in Wales ran front-page headlines like "Reynolds faces fan revolt. Is Wrexham at risk? Hollywood starts distancing itself." Perhaps the most chilling development came from within the entertainment industry itself. Ryan Reynolds, once the man who could sell anything to anyone, was now being quietly iced out. Netflix reportedly paused negotiations on a new film deal. Disney, home to the Deadpool franchise, issued a no comment when pressed about whether Ryan's nightmare would impact Deadpool for promotion. Co-stars, directors, and producers stopped engaging with him on social media entirely. Entertainment insiders whispered to The Hollywood Reporter, "No one wants to be the next person dragged down by this. Studios are nervous." A major YouTube documentary drops, and it's devastating. The internet wasn't done. One of YouTube's biggest commentary creators dropped a 2-hour meticulously researched documentary titled Ryan Reynolds, The Fall of Hollywood's Most Relatable Man. The video pulled no punches. It walked viewers through the timeline of the Baldoni Lively lawsuit, Ryan's behind-the-scenes involvement in media manipulation, every single PR misstep, line by line, moment by moment. How the internet fought back against the cover-up attempt. Within 48 hours, the video had racked up over 12 million views, trending #1 globally. The comments were vicious. "I used to love this man, not anymore. I'm embarrassed I ever thought he was different." When your brand is good guy and that crumbles, there's no coming back. Lawyers react. Legal storm incoming. CNN brought onto prominent legal analysts who both agreed there is now a credible risk that Ryan could be subpoenaed. While he isn't a defendant in the defamation case, the leaked communications, particularly the shift the algorithm email and the recorded phone call, make it clear that he was at least tangentially involved in the attempted media cover-up. TMZ confirmed through a source close to Justin Baldoni's legal team the team is evaluating whether Reynolds' communications are relevant to proving damages in the case. Legal TikTok exploded with analysis. This isn't just PR now, this is potential obstruction territory, at least in the court of public opinion. If he's dragged into discovery, every email, every text between Ryan Blake and their teams could become public record. Even brand partners speak out. Then came the moment that truly shocked everyone. One of Ryan's longtime brand partners, a major charity he supported, issued a public statement. "We are deeply disappointed in recent revelations. Until further notice, we are pausing our partnership with Mr. Reynolds." That was a death knell. Ryan's image as the good guy wasn't just bruised, it was shattered. The public mood beyond betrayal. At this point, the public wasn't just angry. They weren't just disappointed, they were done. Twitter threads, Reddit posts, and viral TikToks carried a simple theme. "We were sold a lie. He's no different from the rest." This is what happens when you build your brand on being the good guy and it's a lie. Even Ryan's past jokes were reframed as manipulative. His playful roasting of Blake, no longer funny, now read as part of a carefully curated distraction machine. His self-deprecating humor seen as a shield against real accountability. Baldoni's team drops a cryptic hint and the internet loses it. Then came the twist no one saw coming. Justin Baldoni's lawyer posted a cryptic message on X Discovery. "It's going to be an interesting few weeks," the internet collectively gasped. Commentators speculated wildly. Are they about to subpoena Ryan? There's no way he escapes this. If there are more texts, if there are DMs, it's over. It was no longer a question of whether Ryan could survive the PR disaster, it was now a question of whether he could survive what was coming next, a legal battle that might finally pull back the curtain on everything. As the dust temporarily settles, one thing has become brutally clear: Ryan Reynolds is facing the greatest crisis of his entire career. What started as a desperate attempt to shield himself from the blowback of Blake Lively's lawsuit with Justin Baldoni has now evolved into a scandal that threatens everything he's built: his brand, his businesses, his Hollywood relationships, and perhaps even his legal standing. The internet is unforgiving. The public is exhausted with celebrity manipulation. Gone are the days when a carefully worded statement and a few cute Instagram posts could paper over the cracks. Ryan's attempt to shift the algorithm became the very phrase that defines his downfall. The silent strategy failed, the meme strategy failed, the apology backfired spectacularly. And now the legal storm is hovering on the horizon. Wrexham supporters are openly questioning his role at the club. Business partners are quietly severing ties. Hollywood insiders are distancing themselves, refusing to comment, declining to engage. The brand that was once bulletproof, the relatable Ryan Reynolds, is fractured, possibly beyond repair. And the worst part, this might only be the beginning. If the rumors are true, if Baldoni's legal team truly pushes for Ryan's communications in discovery, the world might soon see the full, unfiltered reality of what was said behind closed doors. The text messages, the emails, the backroom strategies, everything. For fans, for businesses, for Hollywood, the illusion has shattered. The curtain has been pulled back. And the man who once mastered the art of controlling the narrative has now become its victim. Whether Ryan can recover from this, whether there is a path forward, remains to be seen. But one thing is undeniable: the scandal has rewritten the rules. The days of celebrity PR cover-ups hidden behind carefully filtered photos and cheeky captions might just be over, because now the internet is watching, and it never forgets.